Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. You know it. It's 3:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. This is one of those videos. I haven't done a political video in a while, and this is a political video. It's one of those mornings where I swear my chest, my adrenaline is pumping right now. My hands are numb, almost shaking a little bit. Yeah, it's one of those videos. I came across an article, and as soon as I saw this, the best way to do this video is just to give you my thought process as I came across this article. The way I read into it, one step at a time. I think that's the best way to present this to you guys. I'm going to have to be really, really careful about how I talk about some of these things. I'm going to refer to this group that I'm going to talk about as a group that supports 1940s Germany thinking. The group, the Axis powers from World War II, specifically Germany. I think you know what I'm talking about. And also, there was a sign that I honed in on this whole thing, and it refers to a specific intimate act. You have a front door and you have a back door. Okay, I think you know what I'm talking about now. I'm gonna just leave it right there for those two things, so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, I came across this article, and it's an article about this particular group. I guess you could label them. You could definitely call them. I think we're over 30 seconds now on the video. I think you can call them a hate group, without a doubt. And I come across this article on LGBTQ magazine, which I check every day. And it's a bunch of protesters from this group protesting in front of Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. We're smack in front of the entrance to Walt Disney World. There'll be links and videos and this whole story and pictures all down below. And there's so much offensive stuff that just floods over me at first. The first thing I zoomed in. So whenever I see pictures like this, I want to see these people's faces, and most of them are covered up, which tells you something about what they know in their heart. What they're doing is messed up, but some of their faces weren't covered up. And then I came across a sign. And this is where I started. I zoomed in, and it had two words on it. But, B-U-T-T, and another word underneath it. On my thumbnail, I'm going to have to block this out. And I just looked at this. And there's times when even everything that's happened since Donald Trump 2016, there's times I'm still just speechless, as you can tell right now. And the first thing I thought of is, like, this guy, he's picking this private. This is the way I thought of this whole thing, my timeline, my thought process. He's picking this intimate act between two people, an act of intimacy that is nobody's business at all. And he's standing in front of the country or the world's biggest amusement park, where families and kids go in. And he's holding this up. And the first thing, this is my thought process. I was like, this guy is such a hypocrite. I started wondering how many, because he's protesting against the LGBTQ community, obviously. And I started thinking, it's like, I guarantee this guy goes on adult website. This was my thought process. I guarantee he goes on adult websites. And then I started thinking, how many men and women, heterosexual couples, have engaged in this particular act? And there's a link down below. It's almost like between a third and a half of all Americans. Now, I'm sure, I know when you ask somebody this question, I'm sure it's higher. I'm sure there's people that would swear they never did it or tried it that really did. So I'm guessing it's going to be closer to half of all men and women in America, or heterosexual couples have done it, have tried this. I don't think it says heterosexual in the article. It's just men and women. And I'm thinking, what a hypocrite, and what a, this is America. You're you're talking about some intimacy between two people, which is none of your business, absolutely none of your business. And then you're holding it up in front of children going in and out of this amusement park, when you more than likely haven't indulged in this particular act before. Yeah, and then I saw another shirt too. Never lose your smile, and I didn't get it at first. And then it showed a jawbone of a skull, and I remembered I've seen in movies and TV shows where I don't know if it was the SS had that emblem on their hats, and I started thinking about that. I was like, how could any group of people support? I suppose by the time this came about in Germany, it was too late. But a group of people that has a smiling skull as part of their emblem, you see that sometimes now around America. You see these American flags with the blue line supporting police, and then you see the Punisher skull with red, white, and blue. You see it start to happen here. Now I'm sitting here and saying, oh, how come they didn't see it back in Germany? And it's actually happening here. And a lot of Americans more Americans every day are putting this Punisher skull on the back of their big black diesel pickup trucks. Because it's always a big black diesel pickup truck. And I got to admit, at this point, I still hadn't gotten the whole story. I just zoomed in on that sign. And I thought about the hypocrisy of this one guy, and I still hadn't got the big picture yet. And I started thinking about, this guy, he's probably from the area. Walt Disney World is a major employer. There's families and children going there. Why would this guy do this? And the people that he is supposedly protesting against, what a hypocrite. Because of story hour, drag story hour, which is art or entertainment. But then this guy actually takes this sign. So there's going to be kids and families going by seeing this sign, and kids without a doubt are going to be saying, well, what is that? They're going to be seeing this sign. So what he's doing right here is an infinite, I was going to say 100 or 10 times worse, but an infinite amount worse. He's purposely doing this so children will see this and families will see this go. So what he's protesting, what he's doing is 100 times worse than what he's protesting. And my mind is just exploding at this point, and I still hadn't got it yet. I still hadn't got the big picture. Why is he doing this? And then it all clicked. He's like, he doesn't care. He's angry at the people going to Walt Disney World. And then it all started to click. This is all about Ron DeSantis. These people are supporting a possible next president of the United States. These people, one of the most offensive stories and pictures I have seen in months. This group of people and these signs, and these are the people that are supporting a possible next president of the United States. Now, if you're a Republican or conservative, let me ask you this: look at this group, look at these pictures. Did you ever see this particular bunch of people, or anybody even nearly as offensive, support Barack Obama or Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton? Did you ever see such an offensive group of people, hypocritical group of people, support liberalism or progressive or Democrats? You got to ask yourself, what side are you really on? The cognitive dissonance here is just overwhelming. And that's when it hit me. I'm going to tell you guys this one story. And this, I've talked about this in a video before. And if you've heard me tell you this story, then I apologize. But one way to tell that, you can tell somebody's telling the truth is when I tell this story like a year ago in a video, and I tell you the same exact story today. It's a true story. This is from the early 90s. And the people I hung around with weren't the best people when I was using. And I told you guys before that the people that I hung around with, I would go to after hours motorcycle club. Some of the big ones, 81, red and white, HA. I'd go to those clubs. But some of my friends would go to this club called Stormtroopers. And one of the people that I hung around with the most, one of my good friends, got a tattoo right here that said, it was a something power. Something power, begins with W, ends with E. I don't even want to say it. And I have to admit, there was times when I got a buzz and we'd all go out, and we'd be at a bar or something, and I'd be, hey, look at my, I'd almost, I'm so ashamed of myself, but I would almost say, hey, look at this guy's tattoo, like it was cool or something. That's who I used to be. I never supported this, but there was times when I thought it made me tougher. I thought it made me cooler by hanging out. I'm ashamed to say that, but it's the truth. Here's the part of the story. I lived right down the street from this guy, and he had parties at his house all the time. And we were at a party, and the back of his backyard abutted the street over, the parallel street, abutted their backyard. And my friend had the big flag from this group, this 1940s Germany group, with the symbol, right in his back big window. Big flag, big window, pointing in the backyard. One day, the neighbor from the next street over, whose backyard abuts his, came over. It was an old man. This was in around 1993. And this man was probably in his 70s. Little, short. I've seen this guy around. I think I used to deliver newspapers to him. I love this guy. He was great. He was funny. He was a veteran of World War II. And he came over during the party, and he looked upset. His eyes were red. And I don't remember his exact words, but so let me tell you, I fought against, he said, this is what he said. I fought against, he's so offended that he was crying. He was tearing up. Because he fought in World War II. This is, like I said, I've told you guys this story before. It's a true story, and it blew my mind. This guy fought in World War II. He fought against that group in Germany. And he made it clear, what we were doing, what my friend was doing with that flag was not only offensive, but just wrong. Also, I'm going to have a link down below. Here in Southbury, this is pretty well known around Connecticut. In the 1940s, this German group, a German Bund, B-U-N-D, a Nazi group, tried to establish themselves and got a good foothold in the town right 10 miles from here, Southbury, Connecticut. I'll put that link down below. And the residents of Southbury finally threw the group out. This was during World War II, and they actually got a foothold here in America, in Southbury, Connecticut, not far from where I'm sitting. This group, and if you don't learn from history, you're condemned to repeat it, as they say. The article and everything will be down below. Have a good Tuesday.